All right, everybody. Thank you very much for showing up. Hold on while I share my screen. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Does anybody have any questions with the concerns with the size of the font or anything?
It's not in cursive.
I will make sure and fix that for next time. Uh, we'll do what Brickman or something like that. Let's go ahead and open the VOD minutes that I closed like an idiot. All right. Welcome to the Westmarch Board of Directors November meeting 2024. We absolutely do have a quorum, and I would like to call this meeting to order. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Do I have a second on calling this meeting to order?
Second.
Thank you, Ben. All right. We have our secretary in attendance, and the secretary is not on their mobile, which is outstanding. Would you like to take attendance this time?
Yes, I'll go ahead and take attendance for you, Mr. President.
Take my
All
head off,
right.
Jody.
Speaking of Mr. President, are you
Here.
present? All right. We see that the vice president's not here, so I'm going to put a circle around that one. Secretary's here. We're going to put X there. Kingdom Monarch, please announce you're here.
Kale is present.
All right. Kingdom Prime Minister, please
Present.
announce. All right, gotcha. Treasurer, please announce you are here.
Present.
All right, Liaison, please announce you're here.
Greetings.
That's a nice one. Greetings. I like it. All right, I see we have some guests here. I'm double checking the list here. We have the Kingdom GMR. Ethan, you're in here? Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, there we go. And then we have Dagger, aka Frankie, you're in here?
Bingo bongo.
Oh, I like that one. I like that one. That goes number one now. Then I got the Thistle that is down. Thistle down. James Anderson, you here?
Yes, I am.
All right. Checking the list. I don't see anyone else. No alternates. Vice President's still not here. I now yield the floor back to you, President.
We actually do have the vice president in attendance. Not only do we have a
there it
quorum,
is.
but we have a full house.
All right. X marks the spot. I yield back to you still.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you, former president and former prime minister and former president, for being here. I'm grateful that you guys are still choosing to show up. I think that's just clear to how professional we run this meeting. You guys are just learning how to, be professional like me. So good for you for sticking around. We are going to, the chat's not showing. I apologize. Let's get this in here. Hello. No problem, Athena. The fact that you're even here is outstanding. Lord knows that we don't get paid, so the fact that you're showing up is fine. Would we like to go over the reading of the October minutes?
Yeah,
is that
for
a yes?
due diligence.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and read through the minutes. Our secretary wrote these minutes. Thank you very much for that, Chris. And as a note, because this is the board of directors, our persona names can absolutely be used, but please attempt to adhere to personal real life names. Sorry to say that. That's the boring thing. All right. So in attendance, we had the vice president, Kingdom Monarch, Kingdom Prime Minister, Kingdom GMR, Liaison, Treasury, Secretary, and guests, including Frankie Demento, James Anderson, Royce Griffiths, who sends his regards. He wanted to be in this meeting, but he could not make it, which is fine, and Jody, who usually shows up. We talked about San Lorenzo Park. As you can guess, last month we had a pretty cool event. It went off reasonably well, in my opinion, and we talked about last-minute concerns about licensing, alcohol consumption, where we could camp, and cost. We had an update about the trailer. It was basically the final update, which was nice. The final update is that the trailer is now in our possession and legally in our name, and we have a title. The title was handed off to the monarch. Whatever the monarch chose to do with that, nobody knows. We talked about Namir's Sanctum to confirm it was an officially defunct land, and we talked briefly about Wildmire, which we'll be talking about again today. Alan Wong talked about updates for Feast of the Gods, and everything went really well. We had to talk about the consumption and dissemination of alcohol. That was the biggest thing, as well as where we could camp. The liaison talked about director and officer insurance. This, again, was a lengthy conversation that took up a large portion of the meeting, which we are going to talk about again today. It may be brief, it may be lengthy, we don't know. Incident forms, we will talk about that. That was tabled for this meeting. And we talked about the food trailer or food truck trailer. Basically, Westmarch now owns a trailer. Could we get a food trailer or a food truck? That's another conversation that we will potentially talk about again today. That is the extent of the minutes for October. Is that done successfully? Is everybody fine with it?
Can you guys hear me?
I can now,
Yes
Athena.
and yes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that sounds good.
I motion to approve as written.
Seconded. All right. So the November agenda, we are going to welcome a new member to the board of directors. I would like to introduce Ethan Kopich, the new monarch of Westmarch.
What? Don't you mean
You want to try
Jackson?
again?
You want to try that again with Jackson Wilson James?
Oh, that's right. How could it's so silly of me? Just
Change your
ridiculous.
hands.
It's you guys look alike. I can't help it. It's whatever. Okay. Anyways, all jokes aside, Jackson Wilson James has stepped up and has decided to be the monarch of Westmarch for the next term. Thank you very much for that, and welcome to the board of directors. This is your time to say anything you'd like to say and ask any questions that you'd like to ask. And we will have one very important question for you.
I have nothing that I need to say initially, and I'm ready for the important question.
Who would like to ask the important question?
When do you want to go fill out paperwork so that your name's on all the bank stuff?
The monarch doesn't have to do that.
The monarch doesn't get his name on bank stuff.
Yep, that is all the Kingdom PM. That's not me.
Yeah. The question that we have is, if the monarch so chooses, we can all get a credit for attending the board of directors meeting. That can be a color credit or it can be a class credit of our choosing. It is entirely up to the discretion of the monarch. What would you like to do, Kale, you wonderful, handsome individual?
Well, definitely with the unbiased and not at all sugar-coated statements beforehand, everyone may sign in to this BOD meeting with a credit of their choosing.
I motion to approve Jackson Wilson James being part of this board of directors.
I don't think that needs to be seconded, but I will anyway.
There we go. There we go. Let's see. Officially part of the team. Welcome. All right.
Yeah, there is a weird thing that like technically you're taking over as CEO of the corporation that it has to be approved by the board in some way. So good job.
Hooray.
That was it. And there's one very important mandate that we defined to allow you to be the CEO of a major corporation, and that is that you give us a credit for a LARP. But thank you. These meetings are, as long as I run them, we try and just have an open floor. If you want to jump in at any point in time, please do. If there's a topic you want to bring up, please do. I'm sure as Monarch, you will have an agenda that you want to incorporate. We are your support team of sorts to help you in whatever ventures you have. So please feel free to talk to Forum Monarchs. We are very supportive and we are very proactive. And this is a big part of our, I won't say it's a big part of our lives because that's silly, but it's something we enjoy doing. We enjoy helping. And I hope you find a good home here. All right. Moving on to agenda item number 2. Cale, Jackson doesn't have anything that he would like to talk about at this moment. Can we move on to the next one? Just need a second.
I second it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This one is going to be very quick. I opened up the announcements and declarations for people running for the board of directors for 2025. At this point in time, there were 2 people who were supposed to attend this meeting. They are not here. One of them was Royce, who we've talked to multiple times this year, and I would like to publicly say will be a great member of the board, and I hope that everybody who is voting eligible takes a good look at his credentials. the other individual, I hate to say it, I don't remember their names right now, and I'm not going to take the time to look it up. And I personally
Ilion
apologize.
is the game name. Carl
Perfect.
Craig, I think, is the mundane name.
Yes.
Thank you.
Carl spelled with a K.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I don't know the individual, but anybody that's willing to step up usually is thought of very highly in my eyes. So, Carl, thank you very much for wanting to step up and be a part of this team. That's really great. This is the point in time where we allow them to say, "Hey, is there anything you'd like to mention?" They're not here, so we're going to table this for December. Is everybody okay with tabling it for December?
Second.
Yes.
I appreciate that very much. All right. This is a very small agenda for November. I really didn't have a lot of people reaching out to me saying, hey, can we talk about this? So if you have agenda items on the fly, please feel free to bring them up. I have a few things that I'd like to add and talk about. So we will have probably a good hour. And if you have to dip at any point in time, there's nothing aggressively pressing for this meeting. The Feast of the Gods final document review. It is early. You could say it's been a month since Fog, and it would be completely understandable to not have the documents received yet. So, former monarch, current monarch, and prime minister, have we received any information about the final information from Feast of the Gods?
I have not, no.
I have also not.
And that's perfectly okay, obviously.
They have
please
45 days to get the information to the PM.
Yes, thank you for that. I appreciate it. So we're well within the time there. That brings us to what was tabled from September and October. We, as the board of directors, should help out the stewards of the event in telling them what we want in their review to make things easier for them. And it's not just making things easier for the event stewards, but it's making it so we get the information that we need so that the stewards know in advance what to expect. We need to know, we would like to see all the receipts. We would like to see the net proceeds, the gross proceeds, the total attendance, any issues, any complaints, that sort of thing, for a complete full and edit review. 1 second, sorry about that. Is there anybody that would like to potentially work on an SOP of what the board of directors would like that we can provide to event stewards in the future?
Can you define SOP?
Sorry, a standard operating process, a cheat sheet.
I think that would be great.
We don't have one yet?
Thank you, Benjamin. We did. It was scuppered, and we need to make a new one.
Okay, that's at least a starting place.
And I think it'd also make it so that we just don't get a stack of receipts and, hey, we made $5,000 and we had attendance of 180 people, because that's what we've gotten in the past. And then Mistress Olana, who that is the game name that Mistress Olana prefers to go by, made a wonderful spreadsheet that has made things better. And that is hosted on the Westmarch Board of Directors Wiki page now. And it's also hosted on a Google Drive for everybody to access. But that, I'm going to pull that up. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah. Also, just for clarification, is this set of spreadsheets, is this the former SOP that we had going for events and for records of events, or was this made in between those times?
It was made in between those times, and it was unofficial and is never adopted. At this point in time, the reviews that we have are made different by each steward. Has everybody seen this sheet before? I'm going to go ahead and say most of you probably have. This is the sign-ins. This is the receipts. This is the financials. It's a really well done Excel sheet that is up in Google Docs now that anybody can use, and it's very easy to do for the sign-ins. What land, what class they want when they're here, if their meals paid. uh, it's something we should probably toss an award her way for, honestly. But we need something in writing that just says, here's the 10 things we need. So we can tell Alan, hey, Alan, here's what we need. And so we can tell Allura, hey, Allura, here's what we need. Or Athena and Paul, here's what we need. Do we know who's doing Dark Shore yet?
The current bid is headed by Ita in game name and
Yeah.
is currently under review, and we have comments going back and forth about the bid itself.
Oh, good. I'm very glad to hear that. Okay. Well, then what we should have for future events, and I personally believe that we should have this for not just Feast of the Gods and Darkshore, but Coronation as well. Anything that requests funds, I think it's fair to say, hey, let's do a little bit of oversight, because that's going to help us grow as an organization, to become more professional, more streamlined, and to decrease loss, and to make things easier for future event stewards. Just make it a well-oiled, seamless machine so people can just pick up the rubber stamp and boom, move it over, and we know exactly what's run. And they can put their own twist on it, of course. That being said, I'm happy to work on this SOP. Does anybody want to work on it with me?
I'm happy to work on that with you, but it would be at a later time. Like what one? We'd have to coordinate.
Drop details in the Facebook chat as we work on them, because then we can try to bounce things off of everybody more frequently than once a month.
That's what I'm asking for, because sometimes when you drop things into the Westmarch BOD chat, that can potentially become overwhelming. I don't want to inundate people that don't. I'll create a separate conversation. I'd prefer Discord, but we can definitely use Facebook. It doesn't
The SOP task force.
Yeah, I want to make a task force.
I'd be interested to learn.
Chris is in. Perfect. I love it.
I'll make a thread on the Discord right now for you.
Oh, what a great liaison. Appreciate you so much. All right. So we are going to expect, I'm just going to put tabled for December. Can somebody reach out to Alan for me and say, hey, make sure that we get everything by the 45th day? That's important. And it'll give Alan at least 2 weeks to get on top of that, because we don't want to hit him like 5 days before and be like, yo, we need everything now. But we definitely want to review that properly. That's kind of a big reason why we exist.
Since it goes to me, I can do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Elizabeth. Finally, you have something to do.
Excuse me?
Sarcasm.
He wasn't saying you don't do anything. He was saying that you didn't have anything to do.
All right.
Okay. Are we fine moving on from the FOG final document review, tabling this for December?
I think one item that we should clarify specifically is what is the 45th day from the last day of the event.
Feast of the Gods was October 10th through 13th. So,
No,
it was the 23rd to the 27th.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that clarification. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Great Western War was the 10th through the 13th. I'm sorry.
I believe it's December 11th.
Yeah, I believe so as well. Yeah.
This nerd messed up his LARPs.
Wow.
How could you?
Are you seeing other LARPs?
I'm pretty big in the SCA. That's not true. Okay, great. So December 11th, that's great. Let's make sure that we do not do the December BOD meeting before December 11th. Let's make sure on that. All right. Trailer final update. In the last BOD meeting, we had a desire to get the trailer in our name and in our possession. before it was brought to Feast of the Gods, its first roadworthy challenge. And it was very successful, not only getting from Sacramento to Ginger Conrad's house, but then it went to King City very well. And it was inspected by several of us. And here is the thing that I wanted to bring up with the trailer update. There are some very minor repairs and potential upgrades that could be done to the trailer. Is this a kingdom issue or a board of directors issue? I believe it's a monarchy issue. Can anybody chime in on that for me? In regards to potential repairs and upgrades.
Paying for them would actually still probably fall under more the PM and monarch than us. So I think that's more of a monarchy thing, or even an all thing.
Yeah.
Is it listed under the Regent supply by chance?
It will be once the Regent supply is updated. Sorry, I'm not in this meeting.
Oh no,
Ethan,
no
I have
problem.
always ran. Ethan, I've always ran this meeting as people who are.
I know.
Guests
So the answer is I think this falls under. I was trying to look at the exact wording of the Corpora.
Well,
the Regent shall be
you're
in
the
charge
one
of
that determines who's qualified for Corpora tests. So,
yeah, I am. But
you should be the arbiter.
So the Regent shall be in charge of maintaining a list of all kingdom property and effects. I know ours is currently very outdated. Any member wishing to take possession of a piece of property owned by the kingdom or local park for more than the duration of a park day must sign it out. And then I was trying to remember, I think this champion has something about shall maintain the lost and found. Yeah, there isn't something explicit here. The way we ran this right now is that the trailer is basically being half owned by Darkshore and half owned by Feast of the Gods. So you could very much make the argument as part of the annual payment, which comes from it, which is half covered by Darkshore and half covered by Feast of the Gods. They would also be responsible for maintaining it as far as where the funds come from. Or if it's like relatively inexpensive, the Monarch or PM could just cover it out of their 10%.
But you are also correct that in 3.5.7, the champion shall maintain the lost and found, which is also currently housed within the trailer.
Yeah. I was wondering if it was going to say something, and the thing I was looking for was, does the champion have to maintain equipment in like the loaner equipment? And I don't see that.
Yes, the champion is responsible for ensuring all battle games and battlefield equipment are legal and safe according to Amtgard rules of play in 3.5.5.
Yeah, I was looking at 359, which applies only to local.
Yeah, but
And
355.
I was going to say,
yeah.
would Kingdom Champion then be responsible? Which is always weird because Kingdom Champion, in fact, none of these champions have money, so I don't know how they're supposed to maintain this.
I is broke.
I would say that because the Kingdom Champions equipment is housed within the trailer, that doesn't mean that they are responsible for the trailer. If we kept stuff in my garage, I would not expect the champion to fix the gutters on my house, so to speak. I think that's a little bit expansive reading of 357.
Agreed. So the way we handled it for the equipment, like the lock and the other miscellaneous items that had to be purchased and the current temporary fixes on the trailer, is that was, the receipt was handed to me, and I believe I passed it along to Penn as far as getting that refunded. But like that's coming out of the Monarch discretionary fund, and it was like $80 to like cover all of those various miscellaneous things. Now, if it was more expensive or anything like that, I would say the argument I would make is that under the event section, it talks about storage is paid for by Darkshore and paid for by Feast of Gods, depending upon the percentage, blah, blah, blah. So I would argue that it would come out of those funds to do anything, more expensive. Now,
the reason we got this trailer was because of that clause that Feast of the Gods and Darkshore wanted the storage. So they have to pay for it, sure.
Yeah, what makes that interesting is the access to the money in those accounts. So the autocrat of the event can spend the money out of those accounts. But obviously we'll only have one autocrat at a time, so it would be like the Darkshore or the Feast of Gods. The other way would be an Alding. Technically, the Monarch and PM are not allowed to spend money in that out of those accounts. Their 10% has to come out of discretionary funds, out of the general account, I should say, not the event accounts. So that would be an Alding. So that's why it's like if it's $30, $40, I would just say just cover it, not. But if it's going to be like
in the 10%,
yeah, but if it's going to be like $500 or $600, maybe that that might be better to come out of that. Or just ask whatever autocrat like Eta right now, if he's the autocrat, just to be like, hey, can we pull this out of the Darkshore account?
Or just tell him to include that improvement in his bid.
Yeah. And since we typically always have at least one autocrat selected, just whatever autocrat is currently running at the time, I would running an event at the time, I just have ask them to pull it out of their account.
Upon reviewing the trailer on the week of October 20th through 27th or whatever, there was primarily weather stripping issues that needed to be done. There were no major repairs that really needed to be made, but there are a couple issues with the roof that definitely should be addressed. The cost to repair that under $100, in my opinion. I wish I was there to be able to do it myself because I would with joy. But I'm sure that if Ginger isn't doing it herself, that does need to be done. Winter is coming, and we want to get those cracks clocked up, puttied up, however you want to call it.
Yeah, Ginger and I worked on it a bit at Feast of the Gods to try and get it sealed up, so it at least should be able to hopefully last the winter based upon the repairs that we've provided. And I know there's been talk about the Monarch and Regent coming up, and then obviously I'll be there to kind of do an inventory and inspection of the trailer and figure the rest of that out.
Yeah, currently David and I are looking for a time. I'm just trying to use everyone's real names here. I know it's weird. For both of us to make our way out to Bluff Peaks to do not only inventory but also inspection and then estimate costs, because either of us could then justify reimbursement through our 10% for those costs.
Are we looking at welding for cracks, for example, by chance?
No, it's primarily like a fiberglass front, just has a couple of cracks in it. It's like a plastic fiberglass. So we use some Flex Seal, like epoxy, and then use some Flex Seal tape to cover it. So and that's what I'm saying. It should be good for, I don't think this is an immediate problem that has to be dealt with in the next few weeks type thing.
No, absolutely not. But it's something that we want to just make sure that it doesn't fall off the list of things that needs to be done. So the fact that Jackson is already on top of this, huge. I'm so glad that you're looking at
large tarps in the meantime.
Thank you for that information.
Also, just making sure as well, we are okay to proceed with the meeting itself, even though Athena has left for right now.
Yes, as long as we have five members, we can go to town, and we have. And the Kingdom Prime Minister and the Kingdom Monarch do count towards those five. And we also have the liaison, secretary, president, and treasurer here. We have more than enough technically to maintain a quorum. Also, we do have our parliamentarian here as well. And the parliamentarian technically counts. So, Ethan, you're fine being here next month too?
Am I the parliamentarian? Is that my new title?
I nominate Ethan Kopich to be our parliamentarian, our fount of knowledge regarding the rules of play, the corpora, and rules of order.
Oh, geez.
There you go.
Okay.
Yep. Add that into the new corpora, so when it gets finally approved in 2027, we can make that official.
Oh, Jesus.
2027 would be fast.
Oh, that'd be way too fast. No.
Yeah.
It's 40 pages. I don't have time to read that.
Okay, moving back to the topic at hand.
Oregano, read good. Thank you, Elizabeth, for messaging Alan and having them acknowledge the deadline. I appreciate the swift completion of that. Okay, so what we wanted to talk about with the trailer was that we have the information in our name. It is in our possession, and we have the title, and we've actually used it. It's performed admirably. There is so much space in the trailer. It's ridiculous. It's pretty cool. And the double axle is great. And it tows with a regular non-full-size truck. Awesome. I think we hit it out of the park. To celebrate our new Monarch, I have a small proposal. And this is a proposal that the board of directors can't do, but the Monarch technically could. Jackson, our trailer doesn't have a name. And I thought that for the rest of 2024, I think you should name our trailer starting today, November 20th, with the name expiring on December 31st at midnight. So potentially in 2025, there could be a fundraiser or a contest to name the Westmarch trailer. At Feast of the Gods, there was some names suggested. Would you like to see the names, Jackson?
I would love to see the sheet again. Yes.
There we go. Look at this. I did not recall the individuals that gave us these names, but these were the ones who were these are the ones that were mentioned at Feast of the Gods. As you can guess, Trailer McTrailerface was very popular. Westward Ho, multiple suggestions of Westward Ho's with additional vowels that are not included were also suggested. I personally liked Yosoi Trailer, Not a Mimic, Monarch One, and Miranda were very fun. But
I
is
think
there
the
anything
Indestructible, the second, is also rather ironic.
I feel as though
indestructible?
that is egging on fate, and I would not like to do that.
The joke there is it's Indestructible 2, suggesting there was an Indestructible 1.
Oh no, I got the joke, but I don't want there to be
Okay.
an Indestructible 3.
Yeah, fair.
No. The Indestructible 3 is going to be the kitchen trailer.
That's true. $5,000 was a humorous name directed at me, which I was perfectly fine. But yeah, is there anything here on the list that speaks to you, or is there a name that you would like to present yourself?
Since I think I was the one that put in number 22. It was supposed to be the Dragon's Horde.
22, the Dragon's Hotel. Oh goodness. I apologize. My handwriting would make a doctor's note look legible.
That spelling of horde or the other
Other
spelling of horde?
other spelling of Horde.
No, leave it at that, and we just load it up with kobolds who just come pouring out every event.
Dagger, I'm not opposed to that.
Or there's a lot of trailers.
As a driving instructor and an individual who runs a driving school in California, please do not load your trailer with excessive kobolds.
Well, now you've got to define excessive.
Excessive kobolds. That is a name. Damn it. I do think Not a Mimic would be a great name for the remainder of 2024.
Well, there we go. I wish I could remember who did it. If somebody knows who recommended Not a Mimic, please let us know. But there you go. Welcome to Westmarch, Not a Mimic. Let's give some applause there. Yay! All right. So in 2025, the Monarch should probably start considering what might be a unique fundraiser or a unique contest to name the Westmarch trailer. There are other conversations we've had about the trailer. Do you want your park logo on the trailer? Do you want your fighting company's logo on the trailer? Do you want your name on the trailer? Do you want to name the license plate for the trailer? There's lots of ways that we can recoup some of the $5,000 we've spent on the trailer. That is for a group of individuals to determine. That will not be me, but I'm just putting it out there. There are ways to use the trailer beyond just hauling the castle. Is there anything else we'd like to talk about regarding the trailer?
Could paint it like it's not a mimic.
Put a little Baron doll sticking out the backside of it.
Yeah, eyeballs, teeth.
Perfect. All right. Motion to move on from number 4.
Second.
Triple.
Wonderful. All right. The Wildmire contract was sent out in October, signed, e-signed by everybody. I have received a note since the beginning of the meeting that we are all good. Wildmire is officially a part of Westmarch. Is that correct?
They are very cold.
Yes, their contract was official.
Outstanding. That's Jody. We knew Jody was going to show up. Hi, Jody.
Hi, how are you?
Doing very well. Please feel free to put in the chat your name and persona name and what you would like as a credit. And you can thank Jackson for approving credits for our meeting.
Thank you. Sorry I'm late.
You never have to apologize. Good Lord. We appreciate you being here. All right. There's nothing we need to do about Wildmire. We've gone over the contract in previous meetings. Is there anything we need to say beyond their cold?
Motion to close this topic.
All right. Seconded for me. All right. Tabled again to November. Do we have any updates on director and officer insurance? As we discussed last month, there was talk about even consulting a lawyer on whether or not we should have insurance for the board of directors and for the monarchy of Westmarch. Liaison, is there anything new that you'd like to bring to the table this month?
Yes and no. So I did reach out to a couple kingdoms that did have D&O insurance. The only one that got back to me is the one in Canada. So limited application. But I got the idea essentially that instead of looking strictly under nonprofits, actually looking under sports and recreation organizations, to get insurance through that kind of method. I did preliminary find a couple, but it looks like once again though, most places that give you D&O insurance are going to want you to have general liability through them as well. And there's a lot of details as to which exclusions or inclusions you may want. One example I found regarding costs was that smaller local sports and recreation organizations can often buy a policy with $1 million limit for as little as $300. This was a D&O and employment practices insurance. Larger sanctioning and governing bodies often pay in the range of $2,500 to $7,500, assuming they have a clean loss history. I would say that we are probably on the closer to larger sanctioning and governing body than to smaller local sports, given that we operate in 3 states. So that is not cheap.
We don't make a lot of money as it is, and the cost has definitely been a pretty savage detriment. What did they say the cost was? I didn't hear, and I apologize for that.
So an estimate for larger sanctioning and governing bodies could be $2,500 to $7,500
a year.
So it doesn't say that, but that would make sense.
And that's where I know it sounds ridiculous, but until we start clearing, I mean, as an organization, if we're clearing 50 grand a year, 40 grand a year, hey, 2,500 for insurance. Yeah. When we're breaking even, I don't feel comfortable from even an ethical perspective saying, hey, we need $2,500 for insurance just in case one of you decides to be a dick. Like, it's rough, but then you can't say and I'm going to use Andy because Andy's my example of everything. If Andy says, hey, I don't feel comfortable being in a position of leadership anymore, because if somebody messes up out there, then my name is on the line, then I can't fault Andy. I'd be like, yeah, you stepped down, Andy, I get it. And
no hard feelings for stepping down.
Yeah. If people have, if they're living paycheck to paycheck and they have a mortgage and bills and retirement, and one person decides to go ham, and we have to hire a lawyer. We saw what happened with Amherst International. That cost us a lot of money that I wish we had back. And we asked for it multiple times and was very politely told to never email us again. So, yeah, it's tough. Is there anybody who has, and I ask this every meeting, and I'm going to ask it again because it is important. Is there anybody who genuinely believes that we need to have this insurance? And I would support you if you said it.
I mean, I'm the one who keeps pushing for it pretty hard, right? Just saying, I think would be very good for us to, protect the members of our corporation. Um,
Yeah.
Especially the Monarch is the one who I think is most at risk here, right? Because they're involved in like bans and stuff like that. So if somebody comes back and says the Westmarch Corporation CEO is, impinged upon my livelihood or whatever with the ban from AmpGuard, um, they would be the one they would go after, right? It would be the corporation and the Monarch.
What if we just got insurance for one person, the CEO? Would that potentially?
I didn't see options that called that out.
Then it also, in my opinion, insurance on one individual would not be the proper course to go about it, because say if a banning case comes up that I have to recuse myself from, yes, it is still Westmarch that is saying, hey, we are banning this person, and then if their livelihood is infringed upon, if I was not a part of that, then they may go after the individuals who were the ones that
Well,
passed down the sentence.
My minor clarification: you cannot recuse yourself
Yeah.
because you are required. The Monarch is always required for the ban.
Yes. I know
So
that I'm the one that hands it out, but I just may not be in the investigation or something like that.
yeah,
So it is possible we could do individual insurance, but then we need to also work with a company or corporation that is able to to attach it to a title and not a person.
There are other kingdoms. I'm repeating this primarily for Jackson. There are other kingdoms we've found that do have officer insurance. And we have reached out to them. By we, I mean our liaison, who has been very active in this. And we're grateful for all the effort you put in, Benjamin, seriously. Um, how much are other kingdoms paying?
That I couldn't, because as I said, I only got one response, and that was from our Canadian friends. I do not remember if I could actually. I don't think I managed to needle that out of her.
I
and
know
they also have a
nine.
very different payment method for how they do it, because they actually, if I remember correctly from their corpora, have each land responsible for a certain percentage of the insurance.
As part of the tithing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't manage to get that information from them.
That's okay. Thank you very much for the work that you do. And if we can get more information on that, like let's just keep looking for costs. I know that's just spinning tires, but if we can find something realistic that we can pass down, then I'm not
What I
against it.
can say for sure is that I'm very confident it will be above the Monarch and PM discretionary funds. So it is going to have to go to an all thing. Um, so we need to get the populace on board with how much are they willing. So if we could put out, it doesn't even have to be on the all thing yet, but just an informal poll of, hey, are you willing to do this for our volunteers?
Yeah, I like that. And we've talked
You've
about this in previous meetings. We spent $5,000 on a trailer. We spent $750 on switching to a 501c3, which is still in process. We spent roughly $100 a year on Smart Waiver, and then we also got a digital PO box. We've spent some money. Let's be honest here. So at some point in time, we are going to get the backlash from the voting populace saying, "Okay, guys, calm down. The credit card's on fire. Stop it." So let's be very careful in how we word funding requests moving forward.
I would be especially interested to know the limitations on the, quote unquote, smaller organization, local sports teams type situation, because even though, yes, we operate across 3 states, like total populace wise, it's maybe a few hundred people. Like, I don't know. Depending on what that qualifies, we might still be able to get a deal.
Taking that range, it does look like something. It looks to me like scoring a good deal would be $1,000 a year. Plus or minus a couple hundred. If we go for something that's top notch, it may end up being more than 1,000, but it seems like you could find a policy for $1,000.
$100 per park per year, but with the potential split in the future,
I don't think
that
every
becomes a
park
lot more.
can. I do not have the tithes info in front of me, but from what I understand, tithes are a rounding error on our revenue compared to events.
That is
Well,
correct. Yes.
and if it's $1,000, it's $50 a park.
I wasn't counting some of the shires which just don't have a bank account.
Fair.
But you're correct. Yes, that was a number I pulled off the top of my head. That was not accurate data in any capacity. But it's tough. It's something that I would love to have. Absolutely. I fear bankrupting the organization with the costs of these are things that we need though. I'm going to reach out to the SCA and see if they have insurance as well.
Also, I'd like to draw attention and welcome Carl as well, who joined the chat, who is one of the individuals interested in being a part of the BOD next year.
I also see that Jack Kurian is here.
Yes,
Carl and Jack, thank you so much for showing, both of you. I'm going to pause what we're talking about right now. Please take the floor. I'd love to hear from both of you.
Delu Make Dior here. I just had 10 minutes before D&D started, so I just figured I'd hop on and say hi to everyone. Great to hear from everyone, and glad to see that the trailer is getting talked about.
Just put your class credit request in chat. We all know what you really came here for.
That's not important, Dagger.
Wait, we get class credits for this?
Yes, I have deemed that this is a AmpGuard event, and you get a class credit for attendance.
Sweet. Hi, I'm Carl, and I'm at Crimsonwood, Monarch there, and yeah.
I'd also highlight the fact that just because I had 10 minutes does not also mean I did not want a class credit. There are two reasons. I chose to say one.
To be annoying and to get a class credit.
I learned it by watching you.
I mean, that's the reason I show up.
Really, I'm just here to power level, guys. It's what it's all about.
You didn't even go to Feast of the Gods. You weren't power leveling.
I had a good excuse.
Delu, it was good to see you at Feast of the Gods, of course, and also at Dragondale Coronation, if I remember correctly. You were there, weren't you?
I was not at Feast of the Gods or at Dragondale Coronations.
No, Delu. You weren't? I thought you were.
Nope. I was at Art Coronation, and because of the whole fiasco of it got announced, Wyverns first said, cool, we'll do ours the day after, and then they said, oh, well, actually, it's a Sunday park, and we'd already booked and scheduled a bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
But I was there, and then Feast of Gods, it was my girlfriend's birthday, and we had been planning it for basically just as long as Feast of Gods. It was a big birthday party, all for family and my family meeting basically for the first time. So we had just, I was like, oh, you guys scheduled it on the one day that is busy. Plus, as a teacher, it was just like, I can't take Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off. That would be
same.
Like, I would just never be able to work with my kids would. It would have been awful. So hopefully the next one is Thursday. It's just Thursday, Friday.
There we go.
That I can drive down from work on a Thursday night and set up in the dark. But yeah.
I can
welcome
confirm
to the board
here's
of
the
directors
plan
meeting.
for the Dark Shore bid.
Is there news on the Dark Shore bid?
I just mean that we have general concepts of the bid, and I'm one of the co-crats. So
You have concepts of a plan?
Concepts
yes, we
of a
have
plan.
a concept of a plan.
That's good, at least. I would not want there to be not a concept of a plan. Any and can you spoil anything about the theme?
I'm sorry, can you ask again?
It's tied into the L5R theme.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Is it Memorial Day, or is there another, or do you know what weekend it's going to be at?
We are hoping for Memorial weekend.
Nice.
CBD.
I don't know how much has been shared, but that weekend is probably not going to be the weekend of Dark Shore. It is already currently booked out with the park system.
Good to
And are
know.
we and are we still
Did it
planning
not?
on going, are we still planning on going back to King City?
At
We
the
have a meeting
moment,
tomorrow night about possible other sites.
Nice.
Nice. All right, Carl, you, if I, please tell me if I'm correct on this. Carl, are you potentially going to run for the board of directors in 2025?
Potentially. Just kind of checking it out and seeing what's expected, but potentially.
Wonderful. People who have declared so far is Royce, Carl, and Athena, if I remember correctly. But yeah, is there any questions you would have for us?
Not yet.
Oh, and Chris. Sorry.
Not yet for me. Like I said, I'm mostly just right now, just kind of taking it in, trying to see what it is, and I'll maybe have questions later.
Awesome. Well, once a month we do funny hat Zoom calls. This is not that day. Other times we enjoy a non-alcoholic beverage over Zoom. And then we do a potluck, which is really difficult. But everybody just kind of just holds their plate up.
And then Milan lies to us for 2 hours.
Yes,
Ooh.
that's true. I say that you're smart, valuable.
Wow. Just wow.
How devious.
Okay.
I always
Sarah.
forget that you guys don't see him regularly.
Nope.
I get this all the time.
Literally, the first time I met him was at Fog.
I'm
That's
sorry.
true. Which was wonderful, by the way. Fog was a great event.
It was.
Okay. Can we move on from the director and officer insurance?
Seconded.
All right. We're going to move forward to the incident form. This is something that I would very much like to have exist. I haven't had time to work on it. Technically, my schedule is freeing up, though. I could join. I'm going to put myself on here. Royce isn't in the meeting, but he would like to assist on making the incident form. Elizabeth, who we know has a very busy schedule, offered to assist on this as well. Thank you so much for doing that.
I'm offering to exist as well, but
It's very kind of you. You make the world a better place.
oh, stop. Yeah, I was really focused this last month on making Fog happen, so I have not had time to work on the incident form. But now that things are clearing up, I can probably get some progress on this before the next BOD meeting.
Wonderful. We have a COC form where people can file complaints, and that's great. The incident form is if there is an accident that witness wants to make a statement, or Kyle broke his leg, Sarah's car got broken into, that sort of thing. Somebody's purse went missing. Lord knows. But having an incident form that goes to the Westmarch email inbox is an additional form that could have value for an organization. It's just a suggestion I'm making. It is not official in any capacity, but it's something that I would like to have exist. Does anybody have any
Agreed.
statements on the validity of this?
I agree. I think it was very helpful at once upon a time from what everybody has mentioned from the people that were there. I was not, but I've heard a lot of good things about it, so I'm on board.
I am very unhappy that I have to wait till next fall to go to out. I don't know what's going on there. And it makes perfect sense, of course. Out is such a great event. If you guys have not been to out, it's really fun. It's a good time. All right. We can move on from the incident form. I'm going to create a little chat and start working on that. And the whole goal is that anybody can go online to potentially CA AmpGuard, click on incident form, and file a report of what they saw or what happened, and just submit it and have it go to the Westmarch email inbox. Is that okay with the monarchy, or should we create a separate email?
I have a question about the incident form itself, specifically when it pertains to medical incidents.
Let's hear it.
Would we also then have to keep a log of each individual who's on a meta team at an event and sort of jot down times and places, what type of injury and what type of aid was administered as well? Will that be recorded in the same, or should that be separate?
I feel like it would be the same. That's what they were doing at Once Upon a Time. So I don't think we need to keep a whole separate log of who was on the med staff team, but just whoever is putting in the incident form, just be like, yeah, Kale administered CPR, whatever, you know? So those are my feelings. If anybody else has different feelings.
That's correct. We would make the incident form have mandatory boxes to fill out, and that if you were filling out the incident form, those certain things would have to be required. If you check medical emergency as the incident you're going to report on, then it's going to activate these different boxes. And the different box is going to be who, what, when, where, why, how. And that way, the email goes to the Westmarch email inbox. Boom, we have a log. Boom, we're covered. We never have to worry about us not logging things. Yeah, it's in the inbox. Where? Somewhere. I don't know. But we're following the rules this way by keeping a log of any potential issues and covering our own backside. That's really what this is for. The incident form is to cover our own backside. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's to have a log of incidents that have happened. We don't need to accurately keep it up, and it just has to be something that we can reach back out to if we need to.
Fresh
Did you
with
guys not do anything?
statements.
Yes. Did you guys not do anything about this? Yes, we did. Here's our incident form. Here's the information that we took. Here's the witnesses. Like, we did the thing. So people can't say we turned a blind eye to potential abuse, potential harassment, potential theft, potential violence, that sort of thing. We have a form, it's logged, it's recorded, and it can be accessed by future members of the monarchy to see if there is continued issues with an individual. And that happened this year as well, where an individual came up for a situation and it was, oh, this is a one-time thing. And then when you looked at the past logs, it's like, oh, this is not a one-time thing. And so the incident form can help us keep better records. So I think it has value. And the past 2 months, the past 4 months, I haven't had a chance to work on this at all. But now I have some time and I'm interested in. So I will definitely be hitting up Elizabeth and Royce and hopefully getting this knocked out. And it'll be presented to the monarchy before it's made active, obviously. We don't have the power as a board of directors to make this a thing. We can make it unofficial, of course, but I'd like it hosted on CAM.
That's why I volunteered to help, because I'm in the monarchy.
Okay, you got
Once
3
it's
months.
done, I'm happy to help put it onto CAM card.
Perfect.
That was Liz who said they would help. But generally speaking, yes, I am happy to help with general writing things.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
There's Milan volunteering people again.
Darn right. All right. Can we move on to topic 8?
Seconded.
Thank you very much. All right, we talked about the kitchen trailer, and what we want to discuss in this meeting is it something that we want to do for a future event? Do we want to rent a trailer? And with a co-steward for Darkshore and with Jackson in this meeting as well, are the potential event sites for Darkshore going to be an area without a kitchen? And are you considering a kitchen trailer?
Some of them that are being considered are sites without a kitchen, and they would be able to have hookups for trailers, but then again, there are many sites being looked at currently, so it is not assured one way or the other.
Okay. Does anybody have any additional information that we want to talk about regarding the kitchen trailer here? The fact that Royce isn't in this meeting is going to kind of scupper 8 just a little bit because he was the one that had topics about this.
So we looked into, I was going to say, there's a bunch of options for rental trailers, which are actually fairly reasonable for a weekend, but purchasing a trailer that would meet our demands was going to be a significant financial outlay, like significantly above the trailer we just purchased.
I had thought we basically reached the conclusion that due to the purchase costs, maintenance costs, and storage problems, that buying a kitchen trailer is currently not tenable for Westmarch. It might be a great idea in the future, but not right now.
Yes.
And that we effectively, it seemed as though had decided that rentals would be the way to go. And there was a notion of doing a test run for a single day kingdom event, such as Coronation, which has passed, but I don't remember what the next kingdom event would be that may not be a camp.
Mid-rain.
Actually, it's going to be the thing that Bear
Oh,
Bear is
yeah.
doing.
The quests, like at people's parks?
Dungeon.
Oh, dungeon.
Oh wow.
Yeah, dungeon you listed as the 25th, and mid-rain would be sometime in mid-February, 25th of January. So in mid-rain somewhere time in mid-February.
So why get Little Caesar's Pizza like last time when we can use a trailer and make up something fancy?
Yeah.
Wasn't
Now,
renting a trailer like
Cool.
$200 to $300?
Didn't Walrus's mom make some awesome Mexican food for us last time?
That too.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. It was a bunch of enchiladas on top of the pizzas. I didn't
Where
want
is
people to
this
go
event?
hungry.
Where
Sorry,
is this
the
event?
question. Oh, this is going to be at the CQB City location again in Stockton, but it's right on the edge of Lodi. It's a 8-mile pass.
I might make a 7-hour drive to get homemade enchiladas.
It's worth it. It was both the food, the event, it was all pretty good.
Yeah, it was in like a little paintball park, wasn't it?
I wouldn't say a little. I would say,
Well, yeah.
imagine actually having terrain with your battle games.
64,000 square feet of double-story terrain for an airsoft arena, is to be exact.
Yeah.
I'm willing to also welcome that test for that kitchen rental idea too, because food can be a bit of a plan. It's going to be cold this time, folks. We were hot last time. I did it in the summer, but now we're going to be freezing. So don your garb and don your armor for this one.
I thought it was indoors. Oh, I guess there's no heater for the indoors.
And that means that it's going to be the opposite this year. So we're testing the cold theory now.
Yeah, some hot food would probably be appreciated. I'm just not sure. I mean, if you are up for including that into your planning of the event,
Oh, I'm
then
for it. I'm for it, Vice Pres. I really am. I don't want people to go hungry, and also like if we could get like hot beverages, like hot chocolate and tea going on too.
So there is one
yeah.
important thing to that. We have to get that funding approved by the all thing because I'm assuming it's bigger than the Monarch discretionary funds.
how
So
much
get
is the
that.
monetary fund again?
Well, not necessarily. So, like similar to how Once Upon a
Oh, yeah,
Time
you
does
have
this,
some.
this is a private event being run by Bear Bear that he's inviting everybody to. So, if Bear Bear was able to cover it out of event, so this is listed as an event in Westmarch. So, if it was able to be covered by gate fees, maybe that's how Bear Bear wants to do it. But if Bear Bear wanted funding, then yes, it should go to an Alding, like funding from the kingdom.
Fair. I also want to add that I forget what the discretionary funding would be, but we had seen a quote where it would be perhaps about $300.
It depends on the size of the trailer. It's anywhere between like 170 and 250. And that's obviously not counting any fees or whatever else they would apply.
Food itself.
Yes. That was just the price on their webpage.
And then also, I assume we don't need any sort of certification for individuals managing and using the trailer, like we don't have any sort of surf safe requirements or anything like that for individuals holding feast at events, correct?
The requirement was not listed on their website, at least, but that is not confirmed because we have not attempted to reserve one yet.
If need be, I will put my name down. I have a manager surf safe in California that is good until the end of 2026. If we do need someone who
Nice.
needs the food handler's certificate, and especially the one above that as well, if that's needed in any form.
That brings up another point that I'd like to add on later about the food safe requirements for events and whatnot as a potential concern, but that can be tabled.
Oh, that's a December one. Food
Add it to the next
safety
one.
requirements. As somebody who has worked in the kitchen for the past 3 Kingdom events, I don't have a food handler's card. Who am I? I'm making dinner and breakfast and lunch for everybody. Who am I? That's something we may have to look at. Maybe we pay for some people to get food safety cards. How much is a food safety permit?
Well, the normal test is less than $50 per person, but also the
Perfect.
managerial one as well, as long as everyone is listed as a training individual or an individual who is not an employee, you only need one person in there with the manager food safety card.
What we were thinking, previous event bid concepts was that we certainly can't make everybody who would be volunteering in the kitchen have a food handler's card. But if we at least have whoever has Feastocrat in their title include that food handler's information, like maybe the managerial one, that might be wise because it's one of those you are the person who's supposed to be responsible for the food going out to absolutely everybody. So if you keep an eye out and be like, hey, you can't store that over there, that's going to be better because we have confirmed that you have this knowledge.
So I'm just going to jump in here and say the definition. So in California, what they say is you have to have a card if you're working in a food facility. And looking up the definition of a food facility, I don't think that we meet the requirements, right? It's like mobile food facilities does not include a transporter used to transport packaging or food or other food. So where was the wording I was looking up here? So food upon which, so a food facility is defined as food is sold or distributed at a retail level, which we are not.
Yeah. But then it does bring up the possibility if we sell meal tickets separate from actual event tickets, then we may possibly be considered a retail facility when it comes to food.
That is a very dangerous precedent to start setting because there's a whole bunch of other stuff like we don't pay taxes on selling of things because we're never considering it as like a retailer selling a good.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, we'd have to start paying taxes on every ticket that we sell and all of this. And we're going to start saying that we are in fact a retailer.
That is a very good point there. We do not do this as a fundraiser. We do it to recoup the costs. And we do it as a request from the attendees. I would like to make a thing here, and this is, I'm going to bring up something that is 100% just me. Nobody else is involved in this. This is only my opinion, and my opinion means absolutely nothing. It's very important to bring this up first. I really want, and no laughing, Ben. I'm going to mute you. Please start using steward instead of autocrat. Autocrat is an authoritarian phrase. Steward is a much better phrase. I encourage everybody to consider autocrat over steward. Wait, gosh darn it. Steward over autocrat. Feast steward, event steward, parking steward, gate steward, that sort of thing. An autocrat leads with absolute authority, making decisions independently and expecting others to follow without much input. In contrast, a steward focuses on caretaking, prioritizing the needs of the organization or the group, and seeking collaboration to manage resources responsibly.
So
yes.
Our one problem is steward is also a nobility title.
It is already a defined title, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
but Duke and Duke is, we're used to duplicates.
We do. I'm just saying, I'm just pointing out a thing.
Well, I think if I become the Duke of Shire Gata for a 6-month term, that does not make me a Duke after my term is over. So I think that's an easy way to get around.
Yes, but you can also have the Duke title. So there's the Duke nobility title and the Duke land title.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So it can be an event title, perhaps.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, just along the same lines as Rat.
The specific concern is that autocrat as a title has a different implication than we may intend and perhaps is outdated and doesn't sound the best. That's the predominant concern, correct?
Yeah, autocrat is not you can't have a team of autocrats.
There typically isn't, but we have, other crat like Feastocrat, Datacrat.
Yes, that it in my mind that's a team of authoritarian individuals, and I like steward better for this definition reason.
Don't we have the term crat included in the corpora when we refer to events?
100%. And yes, this is just me. I am nobody. This is. I encourage everybody to consider using steward over autocrat. I hate autocrat. If somebody never said that word ever again, I would be the happiest boy.
So it sounds like, Milan, you get to write up a Althing proposal. I think if you get it out to the PM and Monarch by the 22nd, which is this Friday, they could probably get it on the December Althing. Because I believe that gives them 2 weeks.
I would want to do some polling before doing something that drastic. And again, it's not that big a deal. It's like when people spell a lot as one word, and I want to just like hunt them down and like bury them alive. It's the same thing with autocrat for me. It means nothing. It's no big deal. Athena's perfectly correct. Autocrat is a perfectly acceptable phrase. I just hate it. It's just me. That's all it is. So sorry about that. Some people don't like pickles. I don't know. The world's weird.
I consider it, I mean, it's a worthwhile suggestion to consider. I'm not sure if I would like move on it right now, but it's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, something in the future. I would not put something on a December all thing. Like, hey, random pointless thing. I'd want to have a discussion to do polling and
No, you'd
that's
put that kind of thing on the Dragonville all thing, not the Westmarch all thing.
listen.
Got him.
I've got receipts on that.
Dragonvale's past couple all things, of which the Dragonvale Prime Minister has been very proactive the past couple months, has made some very interesting official changes, which has been wonderful. I hope you guys like the artist Pink. They are now ingrained in Dragonvale society. Did everybody hear about that?
No.
Did everybody hear about that? The unofficial song of Dragonvale is Raise Your Glass by Pink.
That's fun.
I was pretty excited about it. We did change it from official to unofficial. Go for it, you know what?
Quick clarification. So have we moved past item 8 at this phase or no?
Oh no, we are still on 8. The
Okay,
blue is tabled for yeah. Yeah, please keep talking about 8.
Okay. I think really there's not much further. It might be a matter of, hey, liaison, sorry, me adding another item to your list, about checking in with them for exact quotes about, hey, we have this event, talking now about Bear Bear's event in January, to say, hey, we would like to potentially reserve this for one day. And what would that look like? What do you need from us? What's the costs? If we can potentially get a quote, I think operating with having the 1 day test run would be best. I know it's a huge pain in the butt to potentially drive this thing out to the location for a single day only, but I do feel like that's probably the best course of action, but I am interested in other input.
I mean, it wouldn't necessarily have to be driven all the way out from somewhere. It could be picked up from somewhere local to Stockton-ish.
That would be cool if they had that option. I just thought that they were Bay Area only for the ones that we had found that were affordable. There could be other
there'll be ones in Sacramento, right? Like
we just might have to coordinate with Valand, some locals to arrange it.
Okay, fair enough.
So that they could return that in the morning. Anything else? Because I think this is more a kingdom than a BOD thing. When it comes time to like sign the contract for it, that comes back to us.
Yeah. I'm down with closing 8 if everybody else is.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been throwing a couple of things in the chat here real quick about at least what I could find easily, which is San Mateo County has some of the easiest ones to search for on this topic. But they actually have a very explicit exception for if a facility does, not include any of the following, which is a cooperative agreement where no permanent facilities are used for storing or handling food, such as a private home, a church, private club, or whatever, for nonprofit association that sells or gives food to its members, which I would say we would classify as. And and not to the general public. We're not allowing people off the street to kind of walk by and grab food from us, occurring no more than 3 days in a 90-day period. So
except for that one set of campers from a previous, I think it was Feast of Gods, where they're like, what? Like $45 for food for a whole weekend? Sign me up.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, anyways. So, and then I also looked, and it looks like there's actually a ServSafe test you can take that's only $10.
Yep. And also that one, I don't know how long it lasts for again because I have not had that one in a couple of years now.
Well, this is good to know, and I think that's something that we should. I mean, if it's going to be that affordable, I think it's going to be hard to not like make that a priority for future events of like the person in charge of the feast potentially having requesting or even requiring that they have a food safety permit, like um like Jody said up here. Jody, what are you talking about with the raw pork thing?
That was some drama in an event past where not all of the meat was fully cooked.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah,
might
that
be
was we had pork roasts at one of the dark shores, and some of the roasts were raw. There was no meat thermometer to test them before being served at the main feast. So a lot of people had concerns about food safety.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, the other thing is employees who have been hired have 30 days to complete the ServSafe. So
Yeah, that's why
our events
specifically
aren't
in
lasting that long.
California, if you are
Mm.
training, you are not required to have a food handler's card.
Also, people were serving without gloves.
That's
serving it without gloves at Feast of the Gods.
No, this was a dark shore in the past, the same one.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I think we should probably prioritize ensuring that we're serving people with food because if there's an outbreak of food poisoning amongst 50 members, statistically speaking, 3 of them are going to seek reparations or accommodations or something. So yeah, that might be smart to look at for, and that's something we'll talk about in December. Cool. That is what I have for the board of directors meeting for December. Are there any topics that we have not covered, or are there topics that we passed by that we have additional information that we would like to discuss at this point in time?
I have more, but I've been a chatty Cathy, so I can wait.
Athena, please bring it up. Talk to me.
You haven't
What do we
talked
got?
as much as Milan, so you're fine.
I think putting a pin in 8 again.
Yeah.
So for the BOD purview, nothing further is what I understand, including the potential quote seeking out, correct?
We have an obligation to for the good of the to oversee the good of the organization, and for a kitchen trailer, potential debatable issues would be cost benefit analysis, the recommendation of whether or not we should get a kitchen trailer, and what it could be used for, and uh, the contractual obligations to it, including maintenance. That would be the big thing for the BOD.
Yeah, but particularly in regards to rentals.
In regards to rentals, that's a monarchy thing. If
Okay.
if Elizabeth and Jackson said, "Hey, we want to rent a trailer this weekend for an event," and it falls within the discretionary funds, then we're going to do it. Or they'll put an all thing together for December and say, "Hey, at mid-rain, we want to rent a kitchen trailer. It's going to cost $300. Is everybody cool with that?" Like that would be kind of how it would go.
Got it. Okay, so it's going to be up to future event holders and Monarchy rather than us. Thank you, just clarifying.
Yeah, if we were buying, yes. If there was a contract, we would be not required, but no, technically we're required to review it. If we had to sign a contract to rent a trailer, the board of directors should give it a once over.
Okay. And then closing that point, if everyone's all right with that. The other thing we had mentioned in the BOD Facebook chat was at least standardization of the process for seeking payment. Not what payments may or may not should be for artists like scroll commissions, but standardized process of requesting payment. Like, hey, you got to send in this form to this email, and then they'll follow up with you with whatever preferred contact method, and you can tell them your payment method or, something like that.
Yeah. So right now it's left to the discretion of the individual monarch because it's coming out of their discretionary fund. So they
Okay.
kind of get to decide how to do it. The way I did it is I asked people to send in official requests through the email address. So that way we had a written record of it being submitted and a written record of it being paid.
Mm-hmm.
The board of directors put together a payment request form for Westmarch last year, and it's been kind enough to have been used, which was very nice to see. It is hosted on the Westmarch Board of Directors AMP Wiki, where everything is hosted. If you need something, take a look. It's probably there.
Dang. I was looking for it on CAM card documents, but no, that makes sense. I will look there.
We're in the
The payment
process of
request form?
trying to get those aligned slowly. It takes a little bit longer to get stuff up on CAM card than it does the wiki.
Oh yeah, yeah. No judgment.
Yeah, it's just my little pet project. Okay, James, are you on the call?
Yeah.
Can you, if I can ask, and this is just for your response if you wish, payments of scrolls, what percentage of the budget is scrolls taking up from your term as monarch and prime minister, which encompassed 2 years? Do you have any thought process or any statements you'd like to make about what scrolls are costing the kingdom?
As I recall, any given scroll was like between $30 and $90 was typical. And it just comes in how many are we doing? But I don't have that data anymore. Payne would be a better person to ask for it.
I can tell you roughly, scrolls, a lot of the scrolls are coming in about $60 to $70. So, basically what James is saying here. Sometimes they're fancier and more expensive. And my rough guesstimate, I didn't go back and look at other monarch reigns, but you're getting about 10 scrolls, maybe a little bit under per monarch. And so, if you look in the $400 to $600 range, which the monarch discretionary funds, that's where we do spend most of our funding, because most of the other stuff comes out of the event funds because events are doing stuff. And there isn't a ton else that the monarchy is busy approving.
Andy, you have served as a Dragon Veil leadership and SG leadership for years now. You and your better half, Rose, who have both been in leadership for a straight decade in Southern California. How does Southern California handle scrolls?
So we've never taken out of park or group funds for scrolls at all ever. They've all been personally funded by the monarch or whoever's giving the award. We also tend to be a little more conservative with scrolls. Obviously, we're not giving out like knighting scrolls or that kind of thing. So, I mean, usually the scrolls I commission are well under what Thistledown was just quoting.
So, with that information dropped in, Ethan, you first.
I was just going to say that, yeah, the big ones for the kingdom obviously are most of the knighthood scrolls are actually already covered by other knights as knighting gifts. So it's primarily the masterhoods and paragons and nobility titles.
Good. Here's my thought process on it. And again, this is just my thought process. This is not official. This is my only opinion. I'm not sharing this opinion with anybody else. And this was put into the Facebook group chat, so I'm going to try and keep it as concise and brief as possible. The rest of the details is in the Facebook group chat. I do not think that Westmarch is in a position or should be paying full retail price for scrolls. I think if we want to compensate people for their time and for the materials, then we should give a flat rate that should be determined and codified. I don't want to see, I think if people want to do scrolls for the kingdom as service, that's what we should be seeking, as opposed to, yeah, I'll make the scroll, but it's going to cost X amount of dollars. And I hate to say it, but I like how Southern California is doing it, is they're finding ways to recoup the costs outside of kingdom funds. And I like that Ethan has acknowledged that some night scrolls are being paid for by other knights. I am not an artist. I don't hate artists. I love artists. But from a kingdom perspective, can we afford every reign to be dropping $900 on scrolls. And that's where we have to look at that and go, should we codify something as we pay a flat rate? And if you want to do it, great. If you don't, fine. I also would say, would you like money or would you like consideration for a dragon? I would not ever give both. And that's why I'll never be in a position.
From what I heard on a previous discussion, it was said that our most expensive scroll makers are already master dragons.
And that's fine, but then you're looking at roses and other things. I don't.
So a lot of them are also already master roses. Because oftentimes they charge the kingdom for their handful of scrolls and then give out a bunch of free scrolls. And so it's very much like a passion thing. We're maybe purchasing half the scrolls they make. So the thing is what we've been primarily doing recently is we've been trying to cover at least materials. And the reason is if they're coming in and, having to spend X amount of dollars on Photoshop or Y amount of dollars on paint and, specialty papers, like, because we're the ones requesting it, we should at least compensate for the cost of materials, which is about where $65 covers for most scroll makers. We have a handful of scroll makers that are more expensive, and typically scrolls that are more expensive are above and beyond custom things. So as an example, the one scroll that technically I paid for, but it came out of the previous Monarch's budget, was my own Defender title scroll, which was a shield. It was a foam shield that was plastic dipped and all of that, and that was a little over $100 for that because of just the material, basically, to cover all of that. But we're not necessarily covering for time because a lot of these scrolls take 30 or 40 hours to make, especially the high quality ones. And if we were even to charge minimum wage, we would be spending $400 or $500 per scroll, much less $60 per scroll. So I think we're already, in my opinion, we're at a fairly equitable point right now by just covering material. Whether somebody wants to come in, the way I did it with my Last Reign is I went to every scroll maker and asked what their costs would be based upon what they wanted to do. Some were a bit more expensive because they, it was a fancier scroll. They wanted to gild leaf it or whatever, gild it with gold leaf. And that was a cost that I, as the monarch, had to go, do I want to go with this additional cost or not? Right? If it was something less expensive, we would negotiate that and it might be less material cost. So I think right now leaving it to the monarch to figure out how much of a scroll, how advanced of a scroll do they want, what's the materials that they're willing to support for the level of fanciness for the scroll, should be left between the monarch and the scroll maker.
That's fine with me. And if it falls within the discretionary funds, then we can't say anything anyway.
I think that at the moment, trying to standardize the rates is not something we're going to get a whole lot of traction on because there's always going to be objection, and it will be loud objection. So I think that might be an item for next year, perhaps, because that's going to require several discussions. But what is actionable right now would be just the payment method, which it sounds like we have a rough idea already. But basically just formalizing that, it doesn't hurt, where it's like, send this form to this email, please.
If we wanted to make the Westmarch payment request form an official thing, mandated for payment, I would be a huge fan of that. Again, for keeping records. The same reason I want an incident form is the same reason that we did the Westmarch payment request form.
Yeah. So for us, the biggest reason, and Penn, feel free to jump in. We were asking a lot of people to submit it through Westmarch as a PayPal request. So it came in as a request through PayPal, and then we also know how to pay the people. We don't have a lot of different payment methods that we can actually support, which is our big problem right now, is really PayPal. Otherwise, we're like pulling cash out of the petty cash box, which I don't even know how easy that is. And then we have to be, within proximity or deal with the annoyances of trying to send a check. But we don't have a lot of methods we can really support.
Yeah, it's actually illegal to mail cash, so it would have to be PayPal or check.
Yep. There we go.
We technically also have access to Zelle, so we can do Zelle, and we can also do a wire transfer through Wells Fargo. If
we get charged for wire transfers,
then we definitely don't do that. We technically could, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
that
I actually never knew about Zelle was an option.
Yeah, it's through Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo automatically has Zelle.
Oh,
The reason I was liking PayPal is that it was automatically documented into our email, and then we could very much see the request, the dollar amount. The Monarch could see it because they don't have access to the Wells Fargo, so they could see it and be like, yes, that looks like the right price we negotiated, and then the PM could pay it, and we'd get a receipt of the payment, and so it covered all of our documentation. And the worst thing that happens if we had to, go back is search through our email address or our emails just to find it. That's why I did it that way.
I also
yeah.
think because you go.
Sorry. I was just going to say, I literally just had to do that during this meeting, trying to figure out what the heck's going on with some of the PayPal stuff. And I had to look through the emails and say, oh, that was for a scroll. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So having that email thread helps a lot.
Yeah. And I think having it codified is a good thing. Having a request form would be perfect, but since PayPal already has the multiple different layers of record keeping, I think that is probably the best one to keep going forward with.
I agree. And if Ethan says it's a good route to go, then I'm inclined to follow him. The organization that you did during your reign was beyond impressive. I was so impressed with your reign, Ethan. You did a fine job. You should hang your hat with pride. Seriously.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else we'd like to discuss at this point in time?
Motion to close that topic.
Unless Athena,
I'm sorry. I have so many questions.
Good. Toss them out.
If we were to codify, hey, send in the form type situation, where would that be documented? Is this a corpora thing? Is this a note that just
it's
goes
documented
somewhere?
in an official document.
Yeah,
the answer is
it's
we
an
actually have no. This doesn't exist in Westmarch, and this is a big thing. And it was something I was trying to fix with the updated corpora, and is just a straight up mess. So we, so far in the past, our methodology has been slap everything into the corpora, every little process, every little procedure, whatever, and it takes a 2/3 vote, which has led to a lot of problems over the years. It also is not quick and efficient at all. So then we end up with a lot of like, well, the monarch says X, and then it's just done that way for 6 months, and maybe the next monarch follows in or whatever else. So we can write an SOP, but then it would just kind of live on its own, and it would only be enforced as much as it's enforced. Like I found old SOPs, standard operating procedures, just like buried in our Google Drive that were used for a year and then never used again. So the only other way to then do it would be to make a reference in the corpora to say follow this SOP. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess. Right? I like what Milan has been doing, the best that the BOD can do right now, which is
Once
at least
it's
put it on
written,
a web page that we can
I
find.
can stick it on CAM card right next to all the other official documents with our corpora, the COC investigation handbook, their DEI statement, etc.
Perhaps
will
it could
say
be
with the-
an amendment to the existing payment request form. Just the top of the payment request form has instructions.
Well, that payment request form isn't official. It's unofficial as much as Milan and I enforced it. That's how it was official. And now Jackson, right? Like
I can edit the form. It's on my desktop, so
Yep.
I'll edit it and make it prettier. I've been meaning to make. I made it as a freaking PDF, and I uploaded it. I was like, "This is perfect." And people are like, "I can't type into the PDF," and I was like, "Why doesn't everybody have the professional version of Adobe Acrobat like I do?" So like, I need to fix it. I'll make it a Word document, like as easy as possible, or a Google Doc.
Now wait, can't
That
you
would
just
be
make it a
excellent if
fillable
you could do
PDF
that.
with your pro version?
I could, but that doesn't mean other people could open it.
And we've been having more and more issues with our fillable PDFs. About half the people who tried to fill out an event form for all of the monthly events I just ran, about half of them had some issue with the fillable PDF not filling or not resizing the text to fit the space or some other issue. So I don't know what it is, if it's just it was made in an older version and we just need to update our form fillables, or people just don't have access to the right programs or whatever it is.
But that's an easy change. What do you guys think? Should it be a Google Doc or should it be a downloadable Microsoft Word document?
If it's a Google Doc, it gets auto linked into all of the Kingdom Google Drive stuff. and is less likely to get lost?
And we can hyperlink it everywhere.
I'm
You
for
would
the Google.
think-
For
You
real.
would think that, but we actually have old Google Forms that are no longer used that still exist.
I said less likely to get lost. I didn't say it wasn't going to get lost.
Did you know we have a Masterhood break glass document?
I did.
What?
In fact, I was aware of that.
Yeah, that is a very much like yeah, we have several of things like that where it was like somebody went through and set up a bunch of Google Forms, and then again they didn't get linked on like the Facebook or the BOD drive or whatever when those people stopped being in office. Like we just lost track that they existed.
I guess I mean, it doesn't have to be done right now, but if it's a Word doc or a Google Doc, I just think a document rather than PDF is probably going to work better. And then if the form is just updated to include the instructions at the top of, please email this to this email, and then, the payment methods we have available are, and then please specify what you would prefer. There's something like that.
Yeah, at the very least, I do agree. Like on this form, Milan, if you can add the Westmarch Gmail, westmarch.amcard@gmail, that would be helpful so then people know where to send it.
I'm adding that to my work calendar. I'm adding it to my calendar of things tomorrow.
Okay, perfect.
Although I do have a concert tomorrow, so it probably won't get done tomorrow.
We let you out? We haven't changed you to the desk yet?
I don't like to fly in the face of public opinion, but I'm getting kicked out soon anyways.
I don't think you're getting kicked out. I think you're being stolen.
We'll see. All right, Google Docs, that works great. Thank you. Athena, everything you said so far is incredibly valuable. Anything else?
That's all I have.
All right. Is anybody
Athena
else
for BOD President 2025?
There you go.
Oh my
She is
gosh, I have
vice.
to do what Blonde does.
No, that's the thing is, as president, you don't have to. You can do whatever you want.
Fun. Well, I don't know. I would at least try. Is a good example.
All right, guys, let's schedule that December BOD meeting. I request that we schedule it after December 11th.
Let's see. We like Wednesdays. The 25th is a great Wednesday.
Ha.
That's a good one. I'm not doing anything that day.
Yeah. My schedule's open.
It
I
would, as long
propose
as
the
it,
18th.
the 18th would be best for me as well. I was going to say anything before the 19th, please.
Anywhere between that 11th and 19th window looks good.
Does anybody have
18th?
anything? Does anybody have anything against December 18th at 6:30 p.m.? Andrew, is that an acceptable time for you or no?
I mean, just as acceptable as any day. Yeah,
So is
that's
that a
fine.
terrible day?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe so. Should I make one more check?
I'm gonna look at my calendar too.
I live life by the seat of my pants. I don't.
Make
Those
plans
are the
more than a
words I
month
love
out.
to hear out of the secretary of a BOD.
I'm the
Not
treasurer,
The,
but
the treasurer of the BOD. The treasurer of a BOD. Just like, hey, we'll get around to it.
I live my life by the seat of my pants.
Okay.
I don't live other people's lives by the
No,
seat of my
guys,
pants.
save it until we stop recording.
The one
All
time
right.
Dagger has chimed in the last hour and a half.
Dagger doesn't want to be on record.
I'm motion to
Dagger
close
has-
this meeting.
Seconded.
Seconded.
All right.
Tripled.
The opposition doesn't
Just
seem
a
like
quick
it.
reminder, there is an event site search committee tomorrow. Feel free
Yes,
to join
there
us.
is.